My point of bad is it's going to be in line with this, actually. Dude, I'm going to phrase it very, very carefully here. What is bad to me is that Hunden's credibility is destroyed completely now. Like, even if, by the way, it turned out he wasn't like I know it was like tenuous on this recent case where people don't know, he like shared access to this file that had the anti-strats in, but people claim like, but nobody opened them. I don't think people understand, like, his intent was essentially to, by the way, to commit a crime, essentially. Like, you could probably actually, if this was a bigger scaled sport with millions and millions on the line for every match, you could probably actually get taken to court for this. Like, that would be considered something like, because within your contract, by the way, it will 100% have clauses that say things like, you cannot like tamper with the results. That you definitely, there's always one in there, if you've ever seen a modern esports contract that says, for example, you can't leave the company and ask someone to come and join with you if you go somewhere else. There's all sorts of rules out there. So this actually could be, you could be considered defrauding your team by giving away this shit. You could potentially be actually, this even could be considered a form of match fixing if it end up being meaningful to the result. So to me, the saddest thing about this, and the reason why I purposely picked this topic, is because it isn't as simple as when someone else cheats, right? And you're like, right, they're bad, they cheated, get them the fuck out. Dude, Hunden is someone, I'm not exaggerating, who we need in CSGO. Like, we really need this person. Yeah, because right now, I've been complaining for the last 2 years, especially with all the Flashpoint stuff, about how bad all the general managers are in Counter-Strike. Like, basically, a lot of the players still make the roster moves, and the general manager just figure out the deal. So they aren't really like in sports where, you know, they're supposed to like think like, what player do I want in a few years? Or who's the next guy on the right? Like, a lot of them aren't good enough at that. And the worst thing about this is, Hunden already, that was his skill when he was an in-game leader. He was fucking amazing at finding the next talent. And knowing like, right, this is like a good player in this one team, but if I put him in this team and put him in, you know, a specific role, he gets way better. So I actually think, even though no one knows yet whether he was going to go to Astralis, to me, we need this guy in tier 1, like, especially by the way, the Danish team right now, like, a bunch of their teams are a mess. Like, they need someone who can basically like rebuild the scene, find the next top players. So to me, you can't lose people like that. They're like irreplaceable. Like, there's no like 15, 20-year vet coming in like Hunden who can just replace him and do this. Like, unfortunately, we're just going to lose someone like that from the scene. And if he remains, because obviously we need him, well, then we're letting someone who's repeatedly attempted to cheat or do dodgy stuff stay in the scene. So it's just a bad look all round for me. Like, now, Stig, what do you think on this topic?
I agree that losing someone like Hunden is just so awful for the space, because I think North America, for example, would die for somebody to fill
be the shit, wouldn't
shoes. Yeah, it would be amazing.
You know, I've told that story in the past that I actually basically had convinced Jack from Cloud9 to sign him for that reason, dude. Because I even told him, the thing about this guy is he'll just find you all the next talent. Like, you only have to use him for 6 months or something. You can switch him out after that.
Yeah, and he did such a good job at just building up so many players and kind of building out their skill set and making sure that they were ready for pretty much tier 1 play almost from the get-go. I mean, from Trick to Mad Lions, like Acor, Bubsky, even Shush, like, I mean, there were so many players there that have just gone on to succeed at the highest levels. And
most of them.
Yeah. I mean, he like his touch is golden in that he could do so much, but yeah, the things that he did bad were just, you can't even really look the other way anymore.
No, I know.
Yeah. It's like, okay, you know, the coaching bug when that happened, you know, it was terrible, and I really reprimand everybody that did it. But it was kind of like geez, like so many people did this. Like, was it just like it's kind of in a way like just it never became never became okay. But it was like geez, this is just like everybody did it because it was available kind of thing. But then it's just the strat book stuff too, and sharing the anti-strats, I guess, because I guess there's a categorical difference in that. That part is just, where are you gonna stop, and like how are you getting off on this? Why do you keep going? Like, you just need there's a point where you need to cut yourself off, you know.
What do you think on any of this, Apex, the Hunden topic?
Well, I think when you do 2 mistakes in a row, I don't think you understand what you're doing, kinda. The results of your acts, and that's what the Hunden has right now. I think he just didn't think about the results of his crimes, and that's pretty unfortunate, because I always say it in a lot of things, and when I'm talking to people, I wish we could have like a player like him in France to help new upcoming players to be better, because for years we had almost a lot of in-game leaders even on Source that helped the scene to grow up so fast. Yeah. We had like four insane in game leader in France. We had Existence, we had KRL, we had ESP, and Malek, the G2 coach. We had four of them, and that helped us so much. And I think that's why Danish have been like that good for the last couple of years. It thanks to those guys. A guy like Barry as well. He's been there forever. He's been like putting players up and up. Like I would say, it's like Barry players going to Hunden, and then Hunden going to Astralis and North and etc. Yeah. And I mean, I wish we could have a player like him in France and helping to our players to grow, etc. Because I feel like the friendship top never been that bad for a bit of years. And I remember back in the days we had like so many game leaders, so many people helping the young players to grow up and becoming like much better. And that's why that's like what I thought before, like a player like Existence could have done, but that's not what he wanted to do, and that's understandable. But that's not something he wanted to do and he liked to do. So, but yeah, I wish we could have Hunden, and that's pretty unfortunate to see him in those scenarios, because I'm pretty sure, as I said, he's a big part of the rising Danish scene for such a long time. Like I'm pretty sure he played with almost all players from all the teams in Denmark. Yep. I remember playing against him in 2011 on Source in LAN in the Copenhagen games. We had like a third place game. He was with Kajan B and some other players, and he was already there. And I remember on Source he was already doing those stuff. He was like known like kinda as a little Existence, even though he was a bit less good.
Of course.
Individually, and he didn't have such players we had in France. But he was already doing damage with like not known players. He knows how to use them, how to work with them. And I mean, a guy like him would have a work in esports for like
for life.
For life, because he's such an important piece. I mean, he could have like sell anything to any big organization, like having him around and etc. And I don't know what's going on in his head, I would say, but that's pretty unfortunate to have such a genius guy doing that shit. That's that kind of shit.
Yes. I'll even say, by the way, I think your point's great. Like, the obvious one in France would have been, if people remember when Existence went to LDLC when he'd been kicked out of, like, the top teams, the problem then was you just didn't have this current generation come through. Imagine if he'd been an IGL at that level, and then now, instead of people like Masuta, Kyorjan having to jump right into Vitality from nothing, they've already been under someone where for, they play 6 months or they play a role. That would just help you guys, wouldn't it? Just be like, you just get warmed up, basically.
Oh yes. Yeah. That's what I'm saying most of the time. Most likely for players like Masuta and Kyorjan. Before joining Vitality, they were faceit players.
Of course.
So it's the same when Astralis started like picking up players like or the young 9IP or the young Navis.
Yes.
They're at the moment of their career, but they're playing in a tier 1 team with players that have won like almost everything. They had the best player in the world. They had like one of the best clutcher of all time. They had me. I mean, they have like such strong players, but they no one. Like they don't know nothing. They don't know CS at all, etc. And obviously it would have helped the team so much to have good in-game leaders or good formers in the friendship top. But unfortunately we have no one, and that's made me something. If there is still time in the future, I will do, because we have so many talented players that never go far because they just don't have nothing like. I mean, it depends of your personality. Some players are learning by themselves, and some other need other guys. And I think most of them need someone to be on their back, and but they have no one, so they're not like getting better, etc. When I'm watching like except double pony that are getting better, that are pretty good, even though it's sometimes shaky, etc. But they're getting like they have been better than the others. Except them, because they have a bit of body. Who played like in tier 1, Lucky as well, etc.
Yes.
But the rest, like it's when I'm watching the other game from them, I'm like, it's the same than 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Like they never got better, and that's pretty frustrating for me to watch like our sub top like that, because I'm like, then when the old that's what I'm scared with French scene. It's when the old player will retire. It's gonna what's gonna happen in the French scene, and I think
Yes.
we will not have French scene anymore if it keeps like that.
I mean, if you look at the way the Swedish scene's going, mate, that's the ghost that everyone's the ghost of the future, isn't it? Like that's the fear is that you just have to go international, right? Okay, Apex,
Exactly.
Let's do the ugly then. What was your ugly point? Which did you pick? Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or be a pleb and don't.